Guys, it's SJHL Insider. We are back. I am back. It feels like I've been away forever. It's Clark Monroe here for the SJHL and IKS Media. Man, a lot has happened since I've been on a camera, and it seems like literally everything wrapped up while I was gone on my most recent trip to Toronto. But we'll get into that another time. Today on the show, we have a lot to get into because we have crowned a 2024 Cantera Seeds Cup champion. We will be looking ahead to the Centennial Cup. We have to talk about the amazing season by the Flin-Flon Bombers. Then we will be joined by Cantera Seeds Cup final MVP Chase Friedt-Mohr. So we're very excited to talk to Chase. So there is a big show ahead of us. There's a lot going on, even though the season is technically finished and in the past and behind us. There is still a lot to both talk about, look ahead to, and analyze. But first, let's talk about our sponsors here. Of course, we are presented by UPL Canada. Thank you so much to UPL. Bourgault, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet, Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, SGEU, and SGI. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Amazing, amazing people, and they keep us going all season long and even postseason. And speaking of postseason, Jamie Neugebauer just went through a postseason of his own. Jamie, unbelievable. Are you tired?
I mean, I have two kids that are under 4, so I always tell people I've been tired for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
You know what that's like, Clark.
I do. I have an 11 and a 5, so I've been... Yeah, tired is it's normal.
Yeah, but to answer your more specific question, the question you're leading to, it was awesome. It was exhausting. I put out a GIF saying fun can be exhausting, but yeah, it was fun and exhausting. And I've said that 3 times now.
That's it. That's how tired you are.
Yeah.
I just realized that I'm sitting in the wrong chair, and I'm like, why do I feel different today? It's because my chair, these armrests on this chair is higher up, so my. Anyways, that's people who are listening to the podcast version of this have no clue, and it doesn't matter. So, you know what does matter? Let's talk about it. It's time for the hat trick. Never gets old. I love it. Topic 1, let's just dive right in. Recapping the SJHL final, the Melfort Mustangs have won the 2024 Cantera Seeds Cup, and they move on to the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Ontario, which starts 1 week from today. Nugsy, the Mustangs, almost let the Bombers back in the door, but decided instead to slam it shut with a 4-1 win on Tuesday night in Game 6 in Melfort. Pretty cool experience for everybody in Melfort to see their team win on home ice. So let's dive in. Overall, what stood out specifically in Game 6?
The resilience of the Melfort Mustangs has to be the number one topic to me of Game 6. Not only did they already have the injuries that they were dealing with, you think about Logan Cox, you think about Nolan Roberts, David Rieu's been out for a while, Zach Summers has been out for a while. The list goes on. Obviously, the suspension to Ryan Duguay, and a guy who was extremely important to them during the final without, the points really to back that up, but it's not all about points. Austin Shepard, absolutely wonderful in the finals as a rugged, tough, physical, penalty-killing centerman. He got hurt early as well in Game 6, so that resilience again from the Melfort Mustangs. I have it here. Another game in which the Melfort Mustangs give up a big goal to the Flin-Flon Bombers and then rally and score a goal of their own real fast after. It's about how you respond in difficult moments that makes a champion more often than not. Aiden Hutchinson scored 1 minute and 6 seconds after Justin Lees tied it in the third period. In Game 1, Piccinino, it took 15 seconds for Ty Evans to tie it after Piccinino had given Flin-Flon the lead. Game 2, Justin Lees scores to open the scoring. Friedt-Mohr scores just about over 3 minutes later. And then in Game 3, Carter Anderson ties it in the third period, and Leith Olofsson retakes the lead just over 2 minutes later. So, Clark, the biggest thing for me is the resilience. There's more to it, but that's number one.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lady Mo is a dangerous person to have on your side in the playoffs. And talk about momentum, and the Melfort Mustangs knew how to get it back after it was maybe gone momentarily, but they knew how to get it back. And you saw that all throughout the playoffs, leading all the way up. By the way, speaking of all the way throughout the playoffs, let's have a look at the entire bracket, if you don't mind, just to kind of get one more snapshot of the entire SJHL playoffs. As you can see, all the way back, Flin-Flon swept the first 2 series, got to the finals, having only played 8 games. Melfort, they had a really hard-fought series with Estevan, despite it only being a 5-game series. That was a hard-fought series. Then they had a even harder-fought series against Humboldt with multiple overtime games. Then they get to the finals. They are in playoff mode at that point. I mean, how many? 4 overtime games against Humboldt?
3.
3, sorry. But multiple overtimes. So we're talking triples, we're talking doubles. So they had a rugged, grueling series. They come out with that huge 9-2 win in Game 1, a huge 4-1 win in Game 3. Then obviously, or 2, sorry, Game 3 was a lot tighter, 4-3, obviously. And then when everyone said, you know what, wow, it's 3-0 against Flin Flon, how is that possible? Flin Flon comes back. Then they come back again, and it's 3-2 going back to Melfort, and everyone's now saying, oh, shoot, or is this going back to the Whitney Forum for a Game 7? Because, of course, it has to. No, Melfort decided we got to end this now because we don't want to give them a sliver of hope. So it was just such a great playoff run for all the teams. Let's even talk about, such a cool thing for Kindersley to get back into the playoffs and for Melville to get back into the playoffs. We'll talk more about that on next week's show with Rory McGoran when we kind of do our season recap. But overall, great playoff series and or great playoffs in general. And but this series was, like you said, the resilience of the Melfort Mustangs, but also it must have been for you guys broadcasting, and I say you guys because Jacob Faith is in the room. He was involved in the whole experience as well. Nick Nielsen, Nolan Cole, yourself, Rory McGoran. What a broadcast crew that was. It's a cast of all-stars. It was the not the Toon Squad. It was the Monstars of the SJHL. Thank you. Yeah, it was Space Jam reference. But yeah, you guys had such a good cast and crew. Not to mention the Bamboo crew who was there.
Unreal.
Always great. A great team. So I'm just giving kudos to everybody here. But overall, the feeling of the series must have been pretty cool after Flin Flon. Let's say Flin Flon won Game 4. It must have been like, this series isn't over yet.
Yeah, I mean, so every year you mentioned in the cast, incredible. These guys are next level. Same thing we have around here at IKS Media. Like such incredible people in this province, and just so grateful again to be part of it with producer Rusty and everything. But yeah, it's special every year to be part of the final. It's special to watch the SJHL playoffs. There were some really impressive performances. Throughout, Aiden Hutchinson, 15 goals, 31 points throughout the playoffs. He had 9 goals in the finals, 5 goals over games 3 to 6, or 9 goals, like big goals when people were like, this team is going to have this one line, the Hutchinson and Sleva and Duguay line that people are going to really key on. And still, Aiden Hutchinson and Clay Sleva and Ryan Duguay were like, you know what? We're still going to put up our points. We're still going to do our thing. And, of course, Chase Friedt-Mohr, we're going to talk to historic stuff, most points by a defenseman since Dustin Naring of the Yorkton Terriers back in 2006.
That's a big name, too. I remember that name.
Big name, 24 points in the playoffs in 2006 for Yorkton. I mentioned it on the TV broadcast that the Yorkton Terriers lost in the RBC Cup final that year, so maybe that bodes well for a long Centennial run for Melfort with Chase Friedt-Mohr behind him. But 1 point off. I was hoping that he would catch Naring. Didn't actually. He had 23 points and 0 in the last 2 games there, but again, it was a real, committee effort, depth effort, gritty effort by Melfort, and on obviously such special communities. There are just no league, in my opinion, in all of Canada that matches the SJHL in terms of the passion its communities have for the league, the province, of course, Flin Flon I throw in there as well. It's such a special league to be part of. People care so much. And we saw it again in the final. So, I could talk about this for 5 shows. We could have a series of shows, but we don't have the time for that. But it was a real special time. I know I keep saying the word special, but it's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You mentioned the depth of the Melfort Mustangs, and we talk about the injury status of the Melfort Mustangs, which I think is, you look back throughout the entire playoffs and the season in general. I remember when we were talking to Leith Olofsson just a couple weeks ago before the series started, and he was talking about how the season in general, they've been battling injuries and they've kind of just gotten used to it at this point. He had different words, but that was essentially what he said. And, yes, you can't look at the Melfort Mustangs in the 2024 playoffs without looking at the excellence of Aiden Hutchinson, of Chase Friedt-Mohr, Ryan Duguay, Clay Levi. They're literally the only guys with double-digit points in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But not just double-digit points, over a point per game, all 4 of them. Then you look at Leith Olafson, 9 points, but a really good, unbelievable minute-munching playoff run for him. Shot blocking. It's the Ric Flair. He's the shot blocking, minute munching, body hitting, whatever. That's Leith Olafson. What a captain.
Yeah.
But then you look at the depth that did step up at different times. And to me, when I think of the Mustangs of this playoff run, and I think of their depth, I think of guys stepping up at different times. There wasn't like 1 or 2 guys that were just the kind of their depth. It was Logan Cox had a couple. He had 7 points in 12 games. He was, he had a couple really important goals. I think of Rhett Hamilton scoring that overtime winner in the one game. Ty Evans scoring the first goal in Game 6. And Logan Belton having a couple of big moments here and there. They had guys step up at different times in important times. You think of a guy like Zach Summers only playing 6 games the entire playoffs, but he still had 5 points.
Yeah.
Matthew Pigeon coming back at the end of the series there. APs, Jackson Keurig, Tristan Ziola. We talk about those guys. Austin Shepard, you mentioned him, how much of a warrior he was.
Yeah.
And then
Nick Nielsen's favorite.
Nick Nielsen's favorite guy. And then we haven't even talked about James Venn.
Yeah.
The outstanding performance night in and night out by James Venn, playing all 18 games for his team. I know that other goalies played all of the games for their teams, but James Venn seems like he played every game all season long.
Yeah, felt like it.
And yet here he is in the playoffs, through overtimes, through great opponents, and he's standing there at the end of the game hoisting the cup over his head. So huge series by James Venn as well. And that's just that's a snapshot of the season as a whole. But the Mustangs had I feel like they had a really unique season.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool that they were able to cap it all off with a championship win at home.
It was really neat. I kind of throw out Game 1. It was a weird night. Sure. In all sorts of ways. 9-2 Melfort won. But after Game 1, I felt like both teams were it was a heavyweight slugfest. Yeah. From games 2 to 6. Flin Flon didn't play bad in the games that they lost. Melfort didn't play bad in the games that they lost. Like, it was 2 teams going at it. Harmon Laser Hume, from games 3 to 6, he was wonderful. It was those 3 games, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 4 games. They were a real goalie duels in a lot of ways. Both of them were throwing amazing saves. Yeah. Him and James Venn out there. And obviously Harmon, we'll look at the stats, but he led the finals, or the playoffs rather, in goals against average in the end, and second in save percentage. And he was really good after Game 1, really. And James Venn, what more can you say? The consistency level of James Venn is something that blows me away. But just this whole final, again, it was a real heavyweight match. It's what you want to see. And in the end, it was just the Melfort Mustangs that got a couple more bounces probably. Otherwise, we could be teeing up Game 7 tomorrow very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a funny thing to look at too, is because it's over. It feels like, for you guys, you were right in the thick of it. So we're talking, it's Thursday now. The game was on Tuesday. The Game 6 was on Tuesday. Game 7 could have been tonight, or was it tomorrow? Tomorrow, yeah. Friday night. So we could have been sitting here doing a Game 7 preview, but yet here we are. It's the magic of hockey. Let's have a look, if we can. Guys in the back, if we can look at the Centennial Cup graphic. It's not a bracket necessarily, but these are the teams, except for one, which you can see at the very bottom right corner there, that the Melfort Mustangs will be facing come next Thursday, as the Centennial Cup starts next Thursday in Oakville, Ontario. As you can see, out of 117 teams, there is 9 leagues, and there is 1 champion from each league. So we're looking at the host Oakville Blades. We're looking at the OJHL champion Collingwood Blues. We're looking at the SIJHL champion, the Sioux Lookout Bombers. It would have been cool if the Bombers would have played the Bombers. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Probably, no offense to the Sioux Lookout Bombers, it would have been a blowout.
A little bit of
for
a
the
one-sided affair.
No offense.
And it still probably will be with Melfort. Let's just go with that. The NOJ, the NOJHL, the Sudbury Cubs are the champions there. The CCHL, that's the Navan Grads Junior A.
They won last night.
They won last night, just clinched their championship as well. Yes, the Calgary Canucks are the champions of the AJHL. As you remember, and we don't have to get into this right now, but obviously the AJHL had a little bit of drama.
The Asterisk Junior Hockey League.
Yeah, there you go. The little bit the drama Junior Hockey League, you could call it. But anyways, well deserved Calgary Canucks either way. So good to see them there. Some of the nicest branding. I love their branding. Gotta say, give them a lot of credit for that. The Winkler Flyers have ended a really long drought in the MJHL. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 23 years or something since they had won. So really cool to see them there. Now it's the Quebec League. We'll go with that. Yeah. The Letters League, and I'm not sure what team logo that is.
It's Longueuil Collège Français. It's the same team that was in Estevan actually a couple of years ago. And both Nolan Cole and I actually really took a liking to them. They were really, really good, and their staff was awesome too. Spoke great English, and they were a really good team.
That's awesome. So that's cool to see them back. And then in the Maritimes League, of course, you have
Miramichi Timberwolves and the
Miramichi.
Summerside PEI Capitals.
And I've been to Summerside in the past. It's a wonderful area. Yeah. So that series is up 3-2, obviously, for Miramichi, and that could wrap up very shortly here.
Tonight.
But they are the final ones that haven't been finalized yet.
Yeah.
So there you go. And now, as you can see, bring that up one more time, guys. Sorry, I should have said. As you can see on that graphic, there are 4 teams that are nationally ranked by the CJHL. That is, the Collingwood Blues were the top team that overtook the Flin Flon Bombers at the end of the season. The Sudbury Cubs are 13, the Navan Grads are 5, and the Melfort Mustangs, sorry, I said 5 teams. The Melfort Mustangs were 11, and the Winkler Flyers were 4th. And then I guess Summerside was 7th as well, so there's 6 up there. But there will be some good representation at the Oakville tournament starting next week. And can you give me the Melfort Mustangs open the tournament against the Maritime teams?
That's right. Yeah,
whoever it happens to be.
Yeah, they're in a group with Oakville, the hosts as well, Winkler, and I am missing the other one. Let me just look it up quickly here. They're in the Maritimes. They are in Winkler, they are in Oakville, and they are against Sioux Lookout.
The Sioux Lookout.
Of the SIJHL.
Okay, so.
And the Sioux Lookout Bombers are a brand new organization this year, too. So
it's a cool logo. I really like their logo. Yeah. It's like one of those air bomb or water bombers flying over
Imagine
a forest.
being an expansion franchise and just winning the league. Boom.
Yeah, who does that? Not looking at Vegas or not looking at whoever else. Not that Vegas won, but they got there. Let's have a look. Let's get into our second topic of the day. We can come back to the Mustangs, of course, as we go along. But let's look at the goalie stats and the player stats, kind of how they wrapped up for the playoffs. So we'll start with the goalies. As you can see, a 14-game masterclass by Harmon Laser-Hume, 10 wins on the playoffs, 2 shutouts. Of course, he led in goals against average. This is sorted by goals against average. Benjamin Motiu, what a fantastic run he had for Humboldt. We talk about him a lot. Of course, he had 14 games played as well. 932 save percentage. James Venn right there. Could have been probably numbers a little higher as well, but at the same time, those numbers are fantastic. And then, of course, as you go down there, the goalies, the sample size goes down a little bit. Yeah. And we have to give a little shout out to John McPherson.
McPherson.
He got taken off because this is goalies must have 120 minutes, and he only had like 65. So poor John McPherson's not on the list anymore, but he was up there for a long time. Let's look at the player stats really quick. So you can see unbelievable performances by those Melfort Mustangs at the top there. They basically had the 4 leading scorers. Justin Lee's tied Clay Sleva. Nugsy, what stands out?
I just want to mention Aiden Hutchinson again. They're 31 points. It's the first time somebody's hit 30 in the playoffs since Marc-Andre Carré of L'Orange in 2011. So it's been a long time since someone hit 30 points.
Yeah.
And Brett Liedall, the Kindersley Clipper, in 2008 had 33. So that's the most since 2008. So historic stuff from Hutchinson and Friedt-Mohr.
And I mean, we talked about it, but how huge was that line of Hutchinson, Duguay, and Sleva? That you cannot look at the Melfort Mustangs this postseason without talking about the excellence of those 3 guys. They were huge. Of course, Chase Friedt-Mohr as well. Let's not overlook the MVP of the final. But through injury, through APs being in the lineup, et cetera. It's through their forward groups changing almost every night. The one solid thing that outside of the one game that Ryan Duguay missed, of course.
So of course, Game 6. Logan Belton goes up on that line with the suspension to Duguay, and I understand that suspension to Duguay will carry over into that game against the Maritime champions to start the Centennial Cup. That's what I understand. But Logan Belton, he's played plenty of games on that line because they had so many injury issues this year. Guys had to move up and down the lineup in Melfort. So it didn't actually look that weird at all. It didn't look weird at all to see Logan Belton on that line. So.
I mean, we saw him even earlier in the playoffs in that top 6 mix. So, really good performance all around. But great to see those stats and those numbers. Nugsy, we're going to get to our topic 3 here, which is Nugs and Notes, which we're stealing from SJHL Weekly. We are stealing the segment, and we're going to allow you some time here because there are some commitments and some CJHL awards news.
Yeah, absolutely. The fans in these communities, they want to hear about their guys who move on. That's a big piece of why we're here. Maybe the biggest piece why we're here is to move guys on. So there you go.
Yes.
Three from the Battlefords North Stars in quick succession. Bradley Blake is going to Royal Military College, which is U Sports in Ontario in Kingston. So he's going to have to do reserve military time as well and play hockey for RMC. Josh Meternak and Hunter Bergeson. Hunter Bergeson's going to Vancouver Island University in BC IHL. A bunch of SJ kids are going to the BC IHL. And so pretty cool there. Jacob Vizentini is also going to Vancouver Island University out of the Weyburn Red Wings, as Lucas Jeffries, the defenseman, is moving on to Marion University, D3 NCAA. So kudos to you. And then David Overbeek of the Yorkton Terriers kind of came in early December to the Yorkton Terriers. He's going to a place where they really pay attention to the SJ. Let me tell you, I've seen Norwich University jerseys all over the place. Norwich is in Vermont. And I've seen jackets, scouts and coaches around the SJ for a long time. So David Overbeek is going there. And then finally, the CJHL awards. Nominations for the finalists, for the final 5 finalists for each of the awards are rolling out now. I think I won't upset anybody if I say what I know. Pardon me. Carson Olson has been nominated for CJHL Rookie, as he was the SJHL Rookie of the Year. Spencer Bell, CJHL Forward. Donovan Houle. Noah Houle. Donovan Houle.
You did it again.
A great player. Keep doing that. He's nominated for defenseman, and Harmon Laserhume is nominated as well for goaltender of the year in the CJHL. Obviously, SJHL awards. It's very possible that coach of the year could be Mike Reagan. It's very possible that, what am I missing? I think there was one more. But anyways, there you go. So what we know for sure right now is Olsen, Bell, Houle, and Hume have been gotten to the final 5 cuts. And good for them. Congratulations. It's cool to be nominated, and very excited. Hope all of them win.
Yeah, super awesome stuff. And stay tuned on sjhl.ca and all of our social media channels over the next little while as those awards get completed, the nominations, and also the awards get, the winners get announced, I should say. But you know what? Let's head out on to the video chat now, as we are going to be joined by Melfort Mustangs defenseman, nominee for Super U Defenseman of the Year, and Cantera Seeds Cup Final MVP. What a resume. Chase Friedt-Mohr. Chase, first off, congratulations on all of the success, both individually and team-wise over the last few weeks. Congrats on the championship. So let's start there. How are you feeling? It's about 48 hours now since you hoisted the cup. How are you feeling?
Hey guys, it's been a bit of a whirlwind here. To be quite honest with you, it hasn't really sunk in yet. But you know what? I couldn't be prouder of the guys here in Melfort.
Now I see that trophy was sitting behind me a couple weeks ago in this studio, and now it's sitting behind you. It looks better behind you than it did behind me. What was the first thing you put in the cup after you won it? Appropriately, I guess. It's a family
exactly,
show.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think here. We'll just say some Coke.
Yeah,
good. Some Coke in there and some ginger ale.
A little Coca-Cola, a little ginger ale. Yeah, just hydrating.
Exactly.
That's good. Hydration's important, especially at this time of year. You guys had a lot of overtime games recently. Being the finals MVP, Chase, you had a monster individual run for you. It must have been pretty special. How did you feel when your name was called in the arena that you won the Cantera Seeds Cup MVP?
You know, it was it was awesome. It was awesome to hear, but it was probably something I'll enjoy a little bit more later on in the summer and look back on. I'm just proud of our group. Winning the Canterra Seeds Cup was kind of our goal here going into it. Didn't really set out anything individually. I'm glad I was able to help our squad out in any way I could, but ultimately, I'm just super proud of winning here as a group.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned it. Thinking back now, it hasn't sunk in yet, but let's look back at the last 6 or 7 months for you, because obviously it's been a pretty awesome 6, 7 months for you. But coming from the Tri-City Americans in the fall, and then coming to this team that had such a great season, a lot of turmoil, let's say, a lot of injury issues, but at the same time, you guys really were resilient. And Noogsy's got some questions about that later, but. Let's look back at the 6, 7 months. How do you feel about everything today? Did it surpass your expectations?
Well, absolutely. I knew right away coming in we had a special group, special coaching staff. Trevor and Ty have been great all the way through. And I think what we went through the regular season, like we had so many games where we had guys out with injuries, and I really think that helped with us, right? Like our adversity coming into playoffs were just at an all-time high. We had APs stepping up into different spots that they're normally not put into, right? We had some guys moving up in the lineup. So you know what? It was just fantastic right from the start, coming over from the Western Hockey League into this league, and coming into Melfort was something I'll remember for the rest of my life. That's for sure.
Yeah, awesome. It's been awesome to watch you, of course. Frito, thank you so much for your time as you celebrate and then maybe get ready to go to Oakville. Let's zoom in on Game 6 there for a second, though. Obviously, if your people out there were watching, not controversy, I guess, but the goal that broke the tie in the second period, kind of cagey start to the game, and then just a gorgeous move by Ty Evans off a face-off win, and went in there and kind of hit the crossbar. Maybe it came down and a big scramble in front, but I noticed you celebrate kind of right away there. Maybe you could take us through what you saw in that goal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I couldn't really tell. I was kind of just in a battle coming down the side, and I knew it either hit the crossbar or went off the back bar. But coming around the net, the puck was lying there, and I know for sure that the rebound did go in. If it wasn't the original goal, the rebound for sure did go in. And it was awesome to get the 1-0 lead. That was kind of our goal. Once we got one, we knew we'd be able to start rolling there.
Yeah, for sure. And you can always tell from a guy's body language, and you were the first on the scene, and you celebrated really hard there. So good job by you to do that. And obviously, you and I talked a little bit after, and you were honest. You said, I honestly know it was in. So and the referee was in good position too. So there's that. Just talking about the resilience of this team, as we talked about there, it was hinted at by Clark. Injuries, suspensions, guys coming in and out. Other than you, who seem to have the same pair all year long, but everybody else had kind of a different partner, a different line mate most of the year. Just talk about the resilience of this team and where it comes from.
Well, exactly. You know what? I give a lot of kudos to Trevor and Ty. Right? They always come in and they have the same attitude, and they tell us, it doesn't matter what lineup we put out and have in. We're always going to come out, and we're the Mustangs. We're gonna put up a fight, right? And that's exactly what we did. With Duguay's suspension there in the last game, that really motivated our group. For a guy of that caliber to kind of have to sit out and watch, we knew we wanted to do it for him. And it's been like that all year, right? You got guys like Summers that are injured, and it's kind of motivation because you want to get the job done for them, right?
Yeah, and for sure, and they certainly did. You mentioned, Trevor Blevins there, and you talked to guys that he's won with in the past. I don't know if you know Tristan Fry and guys like that of Melfort past, but they always talk about how special he is, how competitive he is. But at the end of the day, everybody has lots of good things to say about him. What makes him so special? What have you learned from him, and also Ty Sugar?
With Trevor, I think it's just his emotion, right? Like you can just tell he cares so much about not only as you as a player, but you as a person, right? And he always is looking for our best interests. That's really what I think separates him. Is it's not all about coming to the rink and performing. It's how you're doing off the ice with him, and he's always having individual meetings to see how you're doing, and just that I think really separates him. And he believes in each and every one of us, and he gives us opportunity that nobody else would give us, right? And I think it's just, you want to go out and you want to play for a guy like that on any given night.
So you have the 1 week off as of today, 1 week away, I should say, until it's not off. You're not going to have a week off, but the Centennial Cup starts in a week is what I'm trying to say. What's on the schedule for you guys as you prepare for that tournament and the trip?
Right. Well, we've had the past couple of days off. We had yesterday and today off, but then we're
fair enough.
Right back into it. Yeah, right back into it tomorrow here, where we start practice, and I think we're gonna have a bit of a golf tournament here in Melfort, as the course just opened up this weekend, and kind of just unwind and get ready for it. I'm really looking forward to it.
For sure. I gotta ask you a question that was sent in from an avid listener, aka Jacob Faith. He wanted to know what went into the great Gatorade shower that you guys got on Trevor Blevins in the the aftermath and the celebration after the game.
I didn't even know it was happening. All I just heard was a bunch of hooting and hollering, and I look over and Blevs is soaked. But he was joking with me after, though, that whoever did it's gonna have to buy or pay for his dry cleaning. So yeah, he's quite the character. But yeah, no, I had no idea that was going on.
Yeah, there you go. I was joking with, I think, Trevor and Jacob and some people. I was like, I'm happy it was some disgusting flavor like green or yellow. Was it green or yellow? Yellow. It was yellow, Jacob says.
Yellow?
Which is good. I think which is a terrible Gatorade flavor. So I'm happy that it wasn't blue, because I'm a big blue guy, and I think that would be a waste of blue Gatorade. So.
Yeah, save that stuff. That's
save
good
the blue stuff. Yeah, very cool. Just got to be awesome. I also want you to do some, some advertising, some promo here for me, Chase, because I know you love your partner, Leith. And I was joking, outside the Vic in Flin Flon with you guys. We caught up for a second there, and I was saying, Todd Johnson, the University of Regina, where you're going next year, would just be a ready-made elite pairing in the league. So maybe just tell the people out there, if there's a college or university coach watching, what they would get if they got Leith Olofsson.
Yeah, well, first off, I'll talk about him off the ice. Like, he's just a great individual. As soon as I got traded here, he was the first person to reach out. Just talking it over and about the year coming up and everything. He was very open. Me and him get along quite well, because I think genuinely we're two just old souls. I remember he was on the show a couple weeks ago and talking about puzzles and all that. But he's just an all around just great guy. And yeah, he's been one of my best friends throughout the whole year. Obviously, my D partner, and then on the ice, like, he's a fantastic player to play with. You always know where he's going to be. His communication's excellent, very supportive, and yeah, he's just all around a great defenseman.
Yeah,
and I give a lot of kudos for my success this year to him.
Yeah, for sure, and obviously that bears out not only in your talent, but in the points that you put up. But you were, honestly, from my perspective, like, I knew you were a good player, but I didn't know you had this much offense in you. But probably playing with him, probably helped a lot that way.
A lot of kudos to him for that.
Yeah, helping you out take that take that step. Let's just take a second, I guess, to talk about the whole series there, the Flin Flon Bombers. I don't need to tell you how good they are, how fast they are, how quick they get on the forecheck and make you guys try to make mistakes. And they did it a couple times, but overall, I think you guys handled it relatively well. But just talk about what the series looked like from a player's perspective.
Well, yeah, we knew going in after that Game 7 with Humboldt that it was going to be tough. We knew that on them right away, because they were sitting around for a little bit, right? We knew that going in. I don't like to use the word underdogs. We never really did, but in our room, that really motivated us going into the Whitney there in Game 1, and I think we proved a point coming out and putting up that 9-2 victory, and I think that just kind of gave us a spark, right? And then gave us more and more belief as the series went on, and then we come out in Game 2. And we just put up a solid defensive effort. right? Closing out a 3-1 win when you can come out of the Whitney Forum in 2 games and only give up, I think it was 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be pretty happy with yourselves. And then coming back home, we knew that we could put a stranglehold on this thing, and that's exactly what we did in Game 3. May not have been our best game, but ultimately we got the job done. And then Game 4 in overtime just didn't work out. Right, we knew they were a good team. They were going to find a way to try and break us down and get a win, and that's what they did. And then going up to the Whitney Forum, we had a good first period, but didn't really play the way we wanted to there in Game 5. But then coming back to the Palace, we knew we had to get the job done, and that's exactly what our group did.
So you saw the development of the crowd atmosphere from Game 1 all the way to the finals, and it must have been pretty amazing to not only win the championship in your home building, but also in front of that amazing crowd that just really came out in droves in the playoffs. How cool was that atmosphere for the last couple of rounds there?
Oh, it was awesome. Coming out and seeing a packed Northern Lights Palace is something I'll definitely never forget, right? One of the loudest buildings I've played in, for sure. That and the Whitney Forum there in Game 5 was pretty loud too. But kudos to both fan bases, even in Humboldt there too, for their amazing support to their teams here throughout the playoffs.
For sure. And then, just the last one from me, Frito, heading to the International Ice in Oakville, where I love that rink. I was there for many, many years, so I think you'll love it there too. Just talk about, the honor, I guess, of representing the SJ and the honor of maybe going to try to win a national championship. Not too many people get to do that. How much fun is that you expect? And just to, I guess, turn around and prepare for, whatever 9 other teams that you've never played before. That must be quite the thing for your brain to get through.
Oh, it is for sure. Like I said, our main goal was to get by Flin Flon there and win it. So it hasn't really sunk in yet. But when we get back to the rink tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be more and more like that. Trying to figure out some different teams that we've never watched or never seen before will be quite the task.
So just to wrap this up, again, we talked about it earlier, but congrats on the commitment to the University of Regina Cougars. There are several SJHL alum that are currently on that team, including last year Melfort Mustangs defenseman Leighton Holoyan, who I bought a hockey stick from on Facebook Marketplace not that long ago, and it was way taller than me.
Yeah, he's
and
a big boy.
I'm tall. I'm 6'3". That stick was taller than me, so I had to adjust it a little bit. But pretty cool experience to get back. You started your AAA hockey, obviously, in Saskatchewan. You went away for a little bit. You came back. You won a championship, and now your next level is going to be also in your home province. That's got to feel pretty awesome to be kind of back in Saskatchewan and feeling good about it.
It is, absolutely. Going away for a little bit down in the States was a great experience. Loved my time in Tri-City. But ultimately, I kind of knew more and more playing in Melfort this year that there's no place like home, right? And especially for my family, being able to come to every game this year, and I'm sure they'll be at most down in Regina next year. It was kind of just a no-brainer to stay close to home.
Yeah, and like you said, if Leif Olofsson goes there, they're just basically creating a Melfort Mustangs
Ready-made
funnel. Just all the great defensemen from the Mustangs can just go and fill out that roster.
Holoyan was awesome.
He was pretty good.
Sure, so.
And he's 6'6".
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't teach size. No. Chase,
No.
thanks so much for your time today. Again, congrats on the commitment, the championship, the MVP nod, and good luck going forward this week with the prep and obviously in the tournament as well next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Chase Friedt-Mohr, Finals MVP. That probably never gets old to hear that. What a player! What a playoffs for him, and can't wait to see what he can do on a national scale.
I gotta say, so many of these kids are so well raised. I mean, you hear the horror stories of parents and kids and whatever. Clearly, they're really, really well raised. Like Leith and Chase and all those Mustangs and a whole bunch of the Bombers. Kept coming up to all of us and saying, thanks so much for the coverage. We appreciate all your efforts and your hard work to you and to Clark and to Rory and to Jacob and to Nick and to Nolan. I'm not missing anybody on purpose. Just they really are appreciative.
Everyone who you didn't mention is now offended.
Yeah, they're furious, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Chase is is clearly. I met his dad on the ice after the game briefly, and he's just, oh, thanks so much. You say so many nice things about Chase, and I said, well, Chase goes out there and deserves
he makes it kind of easy.
Yeah, exactly.
To say
These
nice
kids
things.
make it
Yeah.
easy, but
I put out a tweet when he was named MVP. Just said Chase was a monster. That's all I said, and like all of his family members liked the tweet.
Right.
I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool to see. So again, thank you to Chase for joining us today, and best of luck to him and the entire team as they go forward into the Centennial Cup preparations. And as we talk about the Centennial Cup, let's maybe bring up that graphic one more time just to see who he will be playing in Oakville, Ontario, come next week. Again, the Oakville Blades are the host team. The Collingwood Blues, the Sioux Lookout Bombers. We will see you. Because we are playing, the Mustangs are playing them. It's kind of weird that this time of year you go from saying Melfort, we can almost say we now because they're representing us. Sure. Yeah. So we're going to play the Sioux Lookout Bombers, the Sudbury Cubs for the Noge, the Navan Grads for the CCHL, the Calgary Canucks for the AJHL, the Winkler Flyers for the Manitoba League. Say the name for the Quebec team again.
L'Angers Collège Français.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to say. And then the Summerside Capitals are down 3-2 to the Miramichi Timberwolves. So we will figure out who we're going to be playing. I said it again, who the SJHL will be playing. Because we are in the division with the Maritime League. So really exciting time of year, as we can tell, because there is a lot of excitement going on. So again, as we come back into the studio here now, Nugsy, let's look ahead. What can you tell us? Can you maybe give us a little bit of a breakdown, if you have it in front of you, because I know you did earlier, of the pools for the Centennial Cup and who the Melfort Mustangs will be facing, I guess, in Oakville for the round robin?
Yeah, so they're in the group with the Oakville Blades, as I said, the hosts, the Maritime League. Could it be Miramichi? Could it be Summerside? They're still up for grabs. Sioux Lookout, the brand new team from the Superior International League, and Winkler. So it'll be a Saskatchewan versus Manitoba
always
battle, which
matchup.
is always juicy. And there are plenty of former SJ connections on the Winkler Flyers. As well. So it should be interesting. I think about Jacob Jones, who played a decent amount for the Humboldt Broncos. I think about Isaiah Peters for the Notre Dame Hounds as well on Winkler. But obviously, again, saw them a lot at the SJMJ Showcase. And when you win a league, you're obviously going to have lots of guys at the SJMJ Showcase. So that's always going to be a lot of fun. And it'll be very interesting to see, a lot of people talk about, and we don't have to get too much into this, but obviously with the fact that the Brooks Bandits aren't there, or the other, some of those, the Sherwood Park team, et cetera, and then also no BCHL, people might poo-poo it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say poo-poo. I think I'm allowed to say poo-poo.
I mean, you did, so we'll find out.
If I get fired, then enjoy whoever replaces me. Yeah. But that being said, I think it'll be an awesome tournament. It'll be a lot of parity. It'll be really interesting and tight, and I think it'll still be great hockey with a lot of scouts.
Yeah.
And the Melfort Mustangs, look, they can win it. They really can. Like, I look at that field, and it's a good field. It's not going to be a walkover. They're great teams. They're there for a reason. But they have all the tools that they need, and it starts with James Venn.
Yeah.
Maybe, Noah Pack there in Collingwood is the best goalie at the tournament, the Yale commit. But James Venn, who is NCAA Division I eligible goalie, by the way, he'll be right up there as one of the best goalies at that tournament. So
you mentioned Leith Olafson doesn't have a commitment. You mentioned James Venn doesn't have a commitment. We can't really bet on junior hockey usually in this country too much, but can we put money on them getting a commitment? Because
Hutchinson, Duguay.
Hutchinson too, Duguay too.
Etc.
If we can put some money on it. Now, I'm not saying that that's a good thing. We shouldn't talk about it. It's insider trading, but I feel
this is the insider.
If there was some sort of betting with, will these players get scholarships after this? Yeah,
probably.
Almost
they're going to be
will.
somewhere for sure.
Yeah, they're very good players. Yeah. So again, very exciting time. Now, Nugsy, was there any talk at all? Now, I know it was kind of a whirlwind after Game 6 ended, and you traveled the next day. So I'm not assuming you guys had like a boardroom meeting about this, but was there any talks about the health of some of the players that Melfort was missing in terms of maybe a couple guys coming back for the tournament? The
only one that I feel good enough to say anything about is David Ryu.
Yeah,
is not coming back.
He's not. Okay.
The other ones I have no idea, and if I did know, then Trevor Blevins would not be happy with me.
Yeah.
So, because I know Trevor Blevins, like I know the GM of the Collingwood Blues extremely well, Mike Tarantino. He's going to watch everything about every team. I know the Canucks people will, Falk there and Winkler, he'll watch everything. So, et cetera. The list goes on. These guys are video junkies. There's no hiding these days. So,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. All I know is that we're not going to see Ryu, and that's all I know.
Okay, that's too bad for him. But
hopefully
again,
they all come back. That would be amazing.
I mean, it would be great to see.
Can you imagine they add Zach Summers now?
Now,
that
exactly.
would be amazing.
Hey, you won the championship. You want a Zach Summers? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't? Of course, that's one of the biggest storylines and maybe something that we'll be kind of keeping an eye on as we enter Game 1 and we see the rosters come out for Game 1. Just who exactly will be playing for the Melfort Mustangs because there was a lot of nights in the playoffs, especially I think back to the game you and I broadcasted way back in the first round. It seems like eons ago.
Yeah.
But their scratch list due to injury was a good team.
Really good.
The guys who were scratched due to injury could have been, first liners, second liners on teams across the league, but that's just kind of what they were dealing with. And as Chase Friedt-Mohr just said, that probably made them better in the end because guys had to step up and find new roles and fill spots. So it worked out pretty good, I would say. But with that in mind, make sure you follow along all of our social media channels because we will have you covered on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Flow Hockey's out now, so it's not Flow Hockey, I guess. They're done. But hockeycanada.ca will have all of the games if you're looking to watch the games and you have a Flow Hockey subscription. And come Game 1 on Thursday next week, you say, hold on a minute. I can't seem to find this hockey game that I want to watch. It's because it's over on hockeycanada.ca. They're hosting it internally. They put all their games on there. This happened last year as well. This isn't new. So just so everyone's aware, if you're looking at Flow Hockey, you probably just won't find it. No. It's on hockeycanada.ca. So check it out there. They have all the information there, so you'll be able to watch it and figure it out from there. We'll give one more thank you to our sponsors, of course. Huge shout out to UPL Canada. UPL Open Ag, of course, our good friends there. Borgo, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet, Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, SGEU, and SGI. Nugsy, final word to you as we wrap this one up.
Yeah, man, what a final. And that's the thing, like you mentioned those injuries. It was a physical. It was fast. It was what you want. It was two heavy weights throwing haymakers. And so Melfort's got a job to rest and recover and get ready for the Centennial. But it was a real honor to be in those communities, to interact with all those fans again. I know Rory will say the same thing next Tuesday, but what a treat we all had. Both teams, Flin Flon, we love you. We feel kind of sad for you too, because that's we have to. We feel sad for you. We feel elated for Melfort. We have room in our hearts for both.
Yes.
But we love Flin Flon, Carter Anderson, Justin Lees. All those boys were wonderful too. We don't, we're not skipping you on purpose. But Melfort won, so we got to talk about them a bit more. But Flin Flon, we love you too. And Mike Reagan keeps doing a great job.
Yes, to Mike Reagan, to Cole McCagg, to all the 20-year-olds. We can name them all, but just the 20-year-olds, the community, the Zamboni drivers, the hotels. All of the places that make Flin Flon as special as it is, and all of the people involved with the team. I know it's kind of hard to say it now, but don't hang your head because this was a fantastic and amazing season all the way throughout. You talk about the individual awards with Harmon Laser-Hume, Goalie of the Year, Justin Lees, Forward of the Year nominee, Noah Houle, Defenseman of the Year. We got Mike Reagan, Coach of the Year. I think that was it but they were nominated up the wazoo. They had individual awards all season long. They were number one in the country for a lot of the season, if not most of the season. So do not hang your heads, Flin Flon. It was a fantastic season. And guess what? If I have any historic knowledge of how this league works, I think they'll be back.
Well, we were joking that it's an annual thing to get up in the Flin Flon for the finals. Hey, it's up to the other 10, 11 organizations in the league to prove it otherwise. But 3 years in a row for Flin Flon, what an accomplishment.
And I mean, it's just, all things considered, Mike Reagan does a great job there each and every year. And now, of course, this is for the season preview shows and the summer shows that we may or may not do, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it next week on our kind of season wrap-up show, but it all depends on who comes back for Flin Flon next year, et cetera, but that goes for every team. The 20-year-olds are obviously graduating, and they have a lot of talented 19-year-olds and younger players than that even, so we'll see who comes back, but of course, that's for a future episode. But for now, for Jamie Neugebauer, for the guys in the back, Ryan and Bryce, for everyone here at IKS and the SJHL, for Jacob Faith, who's sitting just on the other side of the camera over there, Kyle McIntyre, everyone involved in Melfort and Flin Flon and through every community across the SJHL. I'm Clark Monroe. This is SJHL Insider. Maybe the final one of the season. We'll see. But there's lots more coming, so stay tuned for all of it and enjoy the Centennial Cup.